Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, us boxing fans, us sport fans, you know what I'm saying? Real people that just like your sport, your athlete that you like in different sports or boxing. You're a real fan if you're a fan. If you go with your fighter through ups and downs, right? If you can judge your fighter or your team objectively, you're down with them if they awesome or not, right? For example, when I was, Monica Seles, when she was playing, she didn't win every match. I'm down with her when she lose. She would lose on grass. Damn. You know what I mean? My boy Roger Federer couldn't get past Rafael Nadal on clay. You know what I mean? Hakeem Olajuwon, he didn't win every damn game, but he was most of them, but not all of them. You know what I mean? Just whatever. I give you an example. Like, for example, Deontay Wilder, boxer, right? Love the way he came into the game and just tried to do things, right? Knocking out people, even though he was not that skilled, but just knocking people out. You know what I mean? And wasn't afraid of nothing. When I hear some of the sparring stories that in sparring, he got clipped in sparring. When I hear that, it makes me like him more because he was clipped in sparring. He was knocked out in sparring. He was knocked down in sparring. He was dominated in sparring. But still to come out and want to go at people that are 30, 40 pounds heavier than you, right? Win or lose, come back. And I remember Deontay Wilder was like, I want to become undisputed and just fight mandatory so everybody gets a shot. Him wanting to do that is enough for me. Didn't achieve it. But him wanting to do it, that's enough for me. You'll be forever grateful for the man. I seen his career. If he never fights again, I don't care. I seen it. I was like, wow, that was awesome. A fight from him was just awesome, regardless. The whole week waiting for see if Deontay Wilder's going to knock somebody else, a highlight reel knockout. Most of the time it happened. Didn't happen every time, especially towards the end of his career. So now fast forward to, Terence Bud Crawford. I've seen, man, it's like this dude, man, from Bryce Prescott to now has been impeccable. Ridiculous. Now people, because boxing fans are just something's up to them, or boxing people, I'm not saying fans don't think like that, but boxing people are just kind of nuts. They refuse to acknowledge greatness if they look a certain way, right? If Terence Crawford is not super great, then there is no super great fighter. You see what I'm saying? So when you use your time and your energy to degrade a Terence Crawford, then you're doing that to boxing. He's the best we got to offer in every way we're looking at it. In terms of trying to do things, in terms of people he's fought, terms of people in or around his divisions, never letting somebody be called greater than him, always going after the hard fights. This is something that we're surrounded by other fighters who don't. You guys give them monikers like Face of Boxing and putting ass in seats and all that other stuff that shouldn't interest the fan. The fan is, who is the two best fighters in the division? Oh, my favorite fighter wants to fight him, right? Terence Crawford he's already two division undisputed. We know he could have been undisputed at lightweight before he became a junior welterweight undisputed, and before he became welterweight undisputed. We saw him try to go for undisputed in the super welterweight or junior middleweight division. You guys remember that? Who was he going after? The undisputed Jermell Charlo, right? So when that didn't pop off, do you guys remember the people? Now, let me just show you the people, because people say Terence Crawford's resume is not that good, right? Which is ridiculous, because that means go watch a documentary. And why I said documentary and just don't look at the names, a documentary tells you what the other fighter did, right? And who the other fighter is. Because you guys are calling a whole lot of fighters nobody. There's no better resume in boxing right now than Terence Crawford's. There isn't. And I hope you don't say Canelo's, because that is not even close, that one, right? Especially with the distance in these fights that he's had, right? So I don't even want to go there. That's not even close. That's ridiculous. Anybody thinks that is not paying attention. But He's undefeated. Really hasn't been in a close fight. Just because somebody won a few rounds early while he's, seeing what kind of fighter you are, registering what you are up to, putting it in the computer, and then taking care of you, doesn't mean it was close, right? Closest fight I saw him in was probably Sean Porter, right? But we saw what happened there. The thing is, when he was at his fourth weight division, the junior middleweight division, he wanted to get undisputed. Do you remember how Fundora act when, Fundora won the title? Who Fundora won it? Fundora won it Errol Spence. And I'm going to do a video about that. Do you remember Tim Chu, how he acted? And he's, stoic, very straightforward guy. He ain't scared of nobody type of guy. He wanted Spence. They didn't want Terence Crawford, right? Now, those are two big, bad dudes in that division. So you had Jermell Charlo, look at these names we're talking about, who wasn't enthused, wasn't in a rush. Fundora, wasn't in a rush. Tim Chu, wasn't in a rush. Now, mind you, guys, this is somebody that people are calling the best fighter in the world, and he's smaller than y'all. Stop acting like they are supposed to be chasing him. He's the guy with the legacy. He's the guy, if you beat, you enter the pound for pound, and you get a lot of money to fight him. Don't act like it's not. But let's go to welterweights. Remember those three names: Jermell Charlo, Fundora, and Tim Chu. Now, two bad welterweights guys, especially one right now. Don't we think Virgil Hill, he's bad too. Virgil Ortiz is all that now. His win over Madrimov. Right now, he's the man all of a sudden, right? He was the mandatory. So he didn't want Crawford. He was the mandatory and rather fight someone else. He was the mandatory and rather fight someone else, right? So he was going to fight Stanione or somebody else for some other title, and that's what he was trying to do. So he didn't want to fight him. He was the mandatory and didn't want to fight him. Imagine that. The mandatory. And didn't want to fight your boy Bud. Right? Boots Ennis had an opportunity to fight him. He didn't do it. So you talk about Virgil and Boots didn't want to do it. Right? Errol Spence took his time. He did it eventually, but he even took his time. Right? And then you had the other side of the streets guys who were like, we on the other side of the streets guys. And that was in the welterweight division. Now, again, I'm going to say what I just said about the junior middleweight division. He's smaller, coming up to your division with the moniker of being the best fighter in the world. Those bigger guys should be chasing him, don't you think? Now, he became undisputed in the junior welterweight division too, right? People say Ndungo and all that because he beat Ndungo, and they won't tell you that Ndungo had just came off of beating Ricky Burns and Troy Anowski in their respective hometowns. They failed to mention that. They failed to mention that Victor Postol had beaten everybody. Provatnikov, I think he beat Lucas Matisse and all that stuff, right? He was undefeated. Nobody wanted to fight Victor Postol. Bud handled him, dominated him. And in that division, you had Provatnikov, who we all know for the infamous, him and Tim Bradley did the Rock'em Sock'em Robot fight. If you want to just have a good time, you can either watch the highlights or the whole fight. Ruslan Provatnikov versus Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley lost his mind, tried to stand in the pocket with Ruslan Provatnikov. Anyway, Provatnikov declined to fight with Terence Crawford, right? Lucas Matisse declined to fight with Terence Crawford. Victor Postol, who eventually did it, but declined to fight earlier with Terence Crawford. And you remember that guy who beat my boy Danny Garcia, but he didn't get the win when Danny Garcia went over to Puerto Rico somewhere and really lost to Herrera, right? He lost to Herrera, but he got the nod, which is okay. It can happen sometime. Well, that Herrera is very slick and everything. He declined to fight also with Terence Crawford. Now, that's a lot of people. That's a who's who of people that I just named that declined to fight with Terence Crawford. Now, we'll end it with the baddest one, the one you would probably put at the top, Manny Pacquiao. I'm going to keep mentioning it so people don't forget that. Because when you're talking about his razor-thin resume, these guys did not want to fight him. Manny Pacquiao himself, his trainer, his promoter, all of those guys and people in the press did not want him fighting Terence Crawford because they were scared of his well-being. All you have to do is put Pacquiao and Terence Crawford, Google it, and you'll see the articles. Bob Arum was saying that. What was it? Freddie Roach was saying that. Stephen A. Smith, Ted Lee Atlas, scared of, we don't want him to get in there with him. Imagine that. Those are feathers in his cap. Anybody like Boxing 24/7, the Fox News of boxing, who was trying to say that Terence Crawford has a thin resume, then if his resume is thin, everybody else don't have one then. Boy, that was bars. I didn't even try that. If his resume is thin, then everybody else don't have one then. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Then everybody else, then the hell with the resumes then, because there are none. Because of people who he fought, plus those who declined, means I've got everybody. And you can't say that about nobody else if their name is not Alexander Usyk in boxing. And, you know, to a lesser extent, my man Dimitri Bivol, too, now. Bivol ain't playing around neither. He ready to fight anybody, too. I'm, just giving love what love is, what it's supposed to be. Better be of, too. Them boys ain't running from nobody. Let's give props to the people who are not running from nobody. Matter of fact, Shakur Stevenson will fight anybody else, too. Quiet as kept. Right? Devin Haney will fight anybody else, too. But since we're going to just name some names, we know who ain't trying to. It's them people around them who ain't trying to fight them. And then we call them thin resumes. So my point is, this is an ode to Terence Crawford video again. Look what he's trying to do now. Let me just mention this again. He's trying to go up to fight Canelo Alvarez, who people say is a first-time Hall of Famer, one of the best Mexicans ever. I disagree, but he's definitely awesome, right? Weigh at 168 pounds. If he were to win and be damn near 39 years old, he's going to want to come down. If the guys at 154 have crystallized themselves where he can have one or two fights and make Undisputed 154, he would try to come down there because he's not a 168-pounder. Come back down and fight for 4-division Undisputed. Is he going to accomplish this? Probably not. But I like the fact that he would want to. Taking it back to what Deontay Wilder was saying. Just trying to do great things. And we get an opportunity to see it. But because we live in New Russia, we can't understand that we're watching greatness from our own people. Right? This is somebody who said, I'm trying to go up to fight Canelo Alvarez to get Undisputed because of 154. Y'all did the number on Jamel Charlo, so he couldn't. So I'm just going to go up to the next weight where somebody's Undisputed. If somebody was Undisputed at 160, he probably would have stopped there. There ain't one. Yanabek, it can't make 160 no more. Whatever. The point is, he's trying to go up there to handle that and then bring it back down to 154 and see if somebody's going to be Undisputed. So let's the Fundoras, the Tim Chews, and the Buracheks, and the Mortazelievs and them boys, the Madramovs and all them, get it together to see if we can get one or two out of here. And I guarantee you he will come back down to try to handle his business. Which is going to be hard because we don't want nobody to go through the Roy Jones syndrome, right? Which means, going up in weight was one thing, but coming back down and the monsters is waiting for you, it ain't easy to do. Because if Roy Jones couldn't do it, then you know what time it is. Because ain't nobody better than Roy Jones, bottom line. So it's going to be an issue. It's going to be hard to do, but I just want to appreciate, and I would hope that you would do the same, appreciate that this man is trying to do this in broad daylight. And ain't nobody else is. Feeling me? Doma Sports Talk, worldwide. And I'm out of here, y'all.